Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria QK.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mother Knows Death. Well, when it rains, it pours in our world. And this week we have so many news stories for you. And of course, today we have a really good episode. We're going to talk about the latest with Nancy Guthrie. And I mean, the photos just came out from the FBI. And God, it's so jarring to watch that. The videos and the photographs from that case. We're also going to talk about Catherine O'Hara. Her cause of death has come out. So last week we talked about a condition that she was born with, but now we're going to talk about what actually killed her. So we'll discuss that. We're going to talk about some stories that have to do with the Olympics because that is hot in the news right now too. And we have a true crime story that hits close to home from one of our Gross Room members and our listeners of Mother Knows Death. And at the end of the episode, we have the most unusual suicide on record, I would say. So all that and more, plus your questions, comments, emails on this episode.
So we're on day 9 of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, and we just got a major piece of news. They just released the footage from the nest, which they claimed they didn't have access to, which I really went into on YouTube Live on Friday. But they just released the pictures of the first suspect in this case, and these pictures are so terrifying.
I really think that they might not have had access immediately to what was on Nancy's phone for the footage, just like you or I would if you want to look at whatever's happening on your doorbell. But I'm sure that they were able to contact the Nest company and figure out a way to get it. And it seems as if they figured that out.
Well, that's what I was saying, because my gripe with it was they were like, oh, there's no footage because she didn't pay for the subscription. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous information. I just was having a really hard time believing it. But obviously they got in contact with somebody at Google or whatever, and they were able to pull these videos and these photos. They're so disturbing. It shows a masked man. It looks like it's on her front porch, right? Because there's that little curved alcove that
it's
goes
definitely
to her
front porch, and and I've been saying this. I wrote a Forensic Friday on the blood that was seen from the video that was seen that Brian Etten saw on the porch. And I wrote a Forensic Friday about that. And the very end of it, I was just like, hey, do you notice these weird flowers on the porch? It looks like someone was holding flowers or like a flower arrangement or something on the porch. And I just thought it was so bizarre that they just let Brian go up there and take those photos to begin with. I mean, they didn't even seem like they thought anything of it. Why wouldn't they have collected it for evidence, right? They were just like, oh, there's just plants on the porch here, and left the blood out there for him to photograph when they closed the crime scene down.
Well, I thought Joe Jackla, I watched his Super Bowl alternative show, and I thought he and his guest made a really good point, saying they hoped that the police even knew about that blood, because as we talked about on YouTube on Friday, they really released that scene pretty quickly, and they kept securing it, releasing it, securing it, releasing it. I mean, it was all over the place what was going on, but seeing these images is so disturbing. And then you started freaking out as soon as you saw those flowers, because you literally see this perpetrator go and pick the flowers out of her front yard and try to block the camera with them. And they're dropped right below where the camera was.
And I was like, oh, that explains that. I don't understand how no one... I mean, maybe they did, whatever, but Brian took those pictures. They weren't crime scene pictures. They were Brian's pictures. And if I'm investigating that crime scene and I see those flowers there, I would collect those as evidence and be like, okay, this is abnormal here, because it looked like somebody was holding, your kid comes up to you and says, Mommy, I picked you these flowers, and then drop them in a pile. They weren't naturally blown over there like that. And just the fact that they were sitting there for Brian to just step up on is out of control for me, to be honest. But as soon as I saw the guy, I guess it's a guy, because a lot of people online are speculating it might be a woman.
I can't see a world in which it's a woman. The build looks like a man, and there's a mustache you can see through the mask.
This means absolutely nothing. I have a mustache.
I have a mustache too, but I mean,
it wouldn't look like that if I fully grew it in. But listen, that doesn't mean anything.
I think mine would.
This person on the porch grabbed, which I thought was so bizarre. I don't even understand what's happening in this video. Um, and we'll talk about it more this case because we don't need to talk about it every single day. So we'll talk about it more on YouTube Live on Friday, because between today, which is Tuesday, and Friday, God knows what is going to happen with this case. So we'll have a lot to talk about on our YouTube Live in the Grocery on Friday. But yeah, I mean, I'm really curious to listen to all of my crime shows, our friends Cheryl, Joe Jackalow, and everybody talk about this case, and see, Tom Smith too was on the news talking about it too, and just see what their thoughts are on the video, and who this person is, and if there's, just because we see this one person on the video doesn't mean that there weren't other people that were accomplices too. But this is a huge step, but it also makes me think they have no clue who it is, because otherwise why are they releasing it? And
It's just so weird though, because it's like you watch this video and he just walks up to the front door and then seemingly he's aware of the camera, and then it takes a while to go pick the flowers that then he tries to block the camera. And I don't know if his motive was like, maybe I'll bring her out the front door and I want to block that from the camera's view, but we've seen pictures of a missing camera. So was it that camera, or there was reports there was one in the back? I don't know if that was the one that was missing. I'm kind of thinking now the pictures we saw of the missing camera wasn't from that door, because I didn't realize the front door was like in an enclosed area. And I'm thinking of the sunlight pattern that was shown on the picture of the missing one. And that looked like it was more open to sunlight. That's just in my head. But
well, the one that's missing though, because remember Brian took this, so this is already after the scene was processed the first time. Is it possible that the investigators just took the camera off because they were looking at it, and that's why the camera's missing?
well, that's a good point, because I was very critical of that, because I thought the police had said that the cameras had been stolen from the scene, and my argument on YouTube was that nest bracket was not even nearly, it was perfectly maintained. There was no damage to it. And you gotta pull those pretty hard to get them off unless you have the tool to easily release it off. So I was questioning somebody's knowledge of the scene, or if they knew how to easily get it off or something, because like those things aren't easy to just rip off the wall, especially when the bracket is undamaged like that.
Now I'm thinking like a whole different way about this, because I did think that this was kind of a sophisticated criminal thing, which could be, but I feel watching that video, I'm like, okay, this is kind of sloppy.
That's what I was saying though before. Like, I don't think it's as sophisticated as we all think it is. I think you want to think, because it's this extremely high profile person, there's all these theories of these ransom notes, which I don't think any of them have been proven to be legitimate. Maybe the one that's deadline passed last night they were taking a little more seriously, but I don't think it's as sophisticated as we think. Like, I kind of think this person was a little sloppy, and their like luck was in their favor that the police are kind of like all over the place with the scene and what they're releasing to the public and everything.
Oh, they lucked out big time getting this video, like big time.
I think often about the Brian Walsh case, because that guy couldn't have done more things incorrectly, but they still never found her body, and that was a huge win for him.
Yeah, I really am curious who this person is, but just like when I opened my phone and saw this on social media, these black and white footage of this camera, it scared me. Like, imagine that guy being at your house or your mom's house at 2 o'clock in the morning with a ski mask on.
No, I'm
Like, and like, what's in his backpack? It's freaking huge, and it's stuffed with shit. Like, what is happening?
well, it appears there's a gun in a holster in the front of his pants as
Yeah,
well.
it's in a weird location though. All of this is just so weird.
The
This
whole
is
thing.
such a weird story.
Didn't you see earlier today too that people working on the house had DNA processed, or is
Yeah.
that not confirmed necessarily
I
yet?
saw no, that was confirmed. I saw that on news stories that they were taking DNA from several workers at the house. And you have to think, like, we just got this released within the past couple of hours, this footage, but they've they didn't just get it a second ago, so they might already be one step ahead as far as the investigation goes. And Savannah has posted this on her Instagram page and said that she still believes her mother is alive.
It's just interesting. The whole thing is interesting. And I mean, I guess this could speak to the demeanor also of the video she released yesterday, where she looked a little more put together with makeup on and everything. Like, I've seen a lot of criticism that she hasn't been wearing makeup this whole time, which I think is bizarre to nitpick something like that, because, like, this woman's mother was abducted and is missing for over a week now. You think she has the wherewithal to put herself together or cares to? It's just very
I thought
bizarre.
about this. I thought about this last night. Like when I saw that video of her with the makeup on, the change in her demeanor is different, and it means, and I've said this, like I've been saying this since last night, that she either has had confirmation that her mom's dead, and she like is at rest with there's closure, and like she even thinks that potentially she's getting her mom back. There's some kind of closure, or that there's a major break and she feels optimistic. Because in the first video, it's purely terrifying watching her face. It like you could see the scared panic look on that face, and you don't ever want any human to have to experience that level of terror. It's horrible. And something has changed within the past couple of days that made her be able to like get up and take a shower and care to look at herself in the mirror for 5 minutes and put makeup on.
I mean, it's just really interesting timing, because just, I feel like 2 weeks ago on Netflix, this documentary came out about Elizabeth Smart. So, like, that's really just in the culture right now, people reliving her kidnapping. She was gone for months at a time. And we found out when she was later discovered alive, thank God, that it was this guy working on their house. So that's definitely been a running theory in this. And her father has spoken out on this case and saying the worst part of it is just not knowing anything. So even having this little bit of information of faith, not even a full face, but confirmation that there was a person there that took her. Because at this point, we had no idea. She just was not there.
Yeah, I mean, and this person in the video is definitely not tomato, right?
Well,
Tomato.
I just have to say, because our next couple of stories are Olympic related, like I've just never heard this name before last week. And then every Olympic event I'm watching, half of the Italian Olympians are named Tommaso as well.
It's probably freaking Tom in Italian, dude. It's
I
like,
know-
it's like the most normal name. It's next to John and
I know that. I'm
Giuseppe,
just saying,
whatever.
like, I've literally just never heard it, and then it was coming up all last week, and nobody could pronounce it right. It is all over the place.
It's tomato. Some say tomato, some say tomato.
And now it's like half these Olympians are named Tommaso as well. One woman won a gold medal, and they kept talking about how her toddler named Tommaso was watching her in the crowd. I was like, this is unbelievable. I mean, we did report last week that Ashley Banfield had said that Tommaso and possibly Savannah's sister were people of interest in this case, or persons of interest. I don't understand why they use the persons versus people. Whatever. They're being looked at, but then the police did a press conference on Thursday basically saying, without saying Ashley's name, that she was incredibly irresponsible for sharing that information. But then they were at the house taking pictures and taking evidence out. So I don't understand their connection still.
It doesn't matter. Listen, just because that particular person in view on the camera is not that guy does not mean anything.
Well, yeah,
there totally could be a connection. It's just that particular person in that video does not look like him. That's all you could say.
Didn't say straight up he did it. She even followed it up with, most often than not, they look at immediate family members, or they were the last two people that reportedly saw her alive.
It was a little clickbaity. Like,
it was a little clickbaity, but she said the responsible thing, and everybody glazes over that last sentence.
And listen, like, it could totally be right. Like, it could just be like a distant related thing or whatever. I don't know. I still think there's this, because like when we talk about like little kids getting kidnapped, you understand, because like people want a kid. They want to take a kid, sell a kid, do really terrible things with children. Like, that you understand why people kidnap children, but with an old lady that could barely walk, that doesn't really seem to have a ton of money of her own.
Well, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of like, it's like taking care of a baby. Like, you got to change its diaper and all this shit. Like, it's not like you could just put the person in a room and like throw bread at them. They need medicine, a pacemaker, all this shit, right? So like, anybody that's going to do that, you think, okay, well, it's either a person that wants to like rape old ladies, which is a possibility. It's a person that knows her daughter. I feel like her daughter has everything to do with it because her daughter's famous. Or it's a person that wants money, and that could be related to the daughter, or it could just be in general. They just think that this lady, I mean, the lady's house was $1 million. They might think that she's an old lady that's got money. They might not know who she is. It could be super random. But I also have this small possibility that it's like a symbolism thing. Like they're taking her for a reason. Like Savannah Guthrie is like an all-American reporter, female reporter, right? Like if you talk about what female reporter represents America in the United States or represents us, right? You would say Savannah Guthrie. She's like just right.
Yeah,
One of the top people.
Especially the last 15 years, she's been working on the Today Show. She's
So
the face of
she's
like major news.
Yeah, of NBC, which is like one of the majors, right? So is someone trying to send some other kind of a message, like a political message? That's what I mean. Like, is it like,
well,
or even like an international political message?
I guess like there's theories floating around out there because like I think a lot of people associate the Today Show with like dumb morning news, right? But they're thinking of like
which they're right
Kathy
for
Lee
the
and
most part.
Hoda drinking wine in the 4th hour. But like Savannah is a serious journalist, and there's a lot of theories going around because of course all this Epstein stuff is coming out right now too. There are reports that she interviewed Epstein victims a while back and the interviews never came out. There was also theories that maybe this was retaliation from a story she covered about the cartel, but all these other experts are coming out saying this is not the cartel's MO at all, not something they would do. So I think that's been debunked. There's theories it's a stalker, but then people have also come out saying if it was a stalker, why wouldn't they try to take, God forbid, her children or somebody else, like her sister, not this woman that requires so much work to oversee every single day? And then there's the possibility.
If it was her sister, this would not have the same impact. It's like
No.
this is an old, like a little old lady that there's plenty of pictures of, and people knew her a little bit because she's been on the Today Show a couple times. Like, you know, if you watch like who else is a female that's on at night, like that Lindsey girl, like there's these different people. I don't even know their names because I don't really watch the news like that. But like we don't know who the hell their like mom is. You know, like we know Savannah Guthrie's mom. She has the same last name as her. She apparently lives in a house that has no security on it. Like she's easily accessible. They know that Savannah's from Tucson. Like she's easily accessible. I think that Savannah's low-lying fruit as far as trying to get money off someone, as far as I'm concerned. There's plenty of people that have far more money. But like,
yeah, it's a very very weird choice of a person to kidnap.
So they took her from her house. Why? Like there has to be a reason why. I don't think it's like, I mean, that guy went with a backpack and stuff and a ski mask. Like he went there to do something. It was planned out to some extent.
Yeah,
so like
it really is.
What is he doing with her?
It really is why though, because like if none of these ransom notes are credible and they're not looking for money, what is the purpose? And why are they holding on to her for so long? Like the message has been sent, right? She's been gone for 9 days. It's very weird.
Yeah, it really is. I'm like really looking forward to like this being over, hopefully in a good way, and having them talk about this whole experience, because there has to be other people that are on this level, like high profile people that are shitting their pants right now.
Oh, absolutely. I would be freaking, especially if this ends up being some stalker situation or some greater message. I'd be freaking out if I worked in news or politics or anything right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to just find out where people live. So, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about anything else because I'm seriously starting to get a little bit tired of this story.
All right. So,
There's like other, like life is still going on around us, despite what we've been hearing all week.
and there's other huge stories. So, this next one is that Catherine O'Hara's official cause of death has been released, and it seems like she died from a pulmonary embolism with rectal cancer as the underlying cause. So, explain all of that.
Okay, so last week we reported that she had an underlying condition that she was born with called situs inversus totalis, which is when all of your organs are a mirror image of what they should be, anatomically speaking. So wherever your liver's on the right side of your body, now it's on the left side of your body. Everything just looks like you put up a mirror and it's on the opposite side. So for her, we talked about this is something that happens when she was a little tiny embryo and developing, and it's not anything that caused her death, and it still isn't. So she didn't have cancer. Nobody ever said that she had cancer. We didn't know it, but we did say, wasn't she at some award show back in September and she looked very thin?
Yeah, I think the assumption was that she died from some type of illness based on her appearance and her lack of appearance in particular during this award season.
Yeah, so she, a lot of times when people have cancer, they lose a lot of weight. And so that could explain her appearance back in September. And then at some point she was diagnosed with rectal cancer. We don't know exactly when. Um and we don't know anything else about her health. So sometimes people are at an increased risk for rectal cancer because they have a family history of it, or they have some kind of syndrome that they got from their family that increases their risk. But you also could have a situation where that she had like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, like that also increases your risk. We just don't know. And then sometimes you just get it. So when you get diagnosed with that, if it's diagnosed at an earlier stage, you could just get the tumor cut out, and then you could get anything from mild to wild surgery depending on what's diagnosed at the time. So sometimes when a person is diagnosed with rectal cancer, often the first sign is that they have either a bloody stool, or they have difficulty going to the bathroom, pain going to the bathroom, or their stools are really thin. And that's because the tumor can be circumferential, which means it goes around, it's not just on one side of the colon, it like wraps around the whole inside of the colon, and the poop can't get through, so it squeezes through the little bit of a hole that's left, which could cause the bleeding and the pain and everything like that. So they'll work you up and figure out what stage you are, and then they're going to do treatment based on that. So they could just cut it out. Sometimes they give you chemo first to shrink the tumor and then cut it out. So, and then sometimes it's just considered inoperable because it's so bad, and then they just try to treat you so you could remain comfortable for the rest of your life. So we don't really know what happened with that. But the surgery can be a big deal for some people because you want to preserve the anal sphincter, because if you have to take it out, then the person unfortunately is going to be stuck with a colostomy bag for the rest of their life. So sometimes they're able to give them chemo and shrink it enough so they can preserve that muscle, because that's basically what keeps your poop in and pushes it out, right? So you really need that. So when you have cancer, let's go back to last week. We talked about John Gosling, right? He was, what was he, 48 years old, and he had pulmonary embolism. And the very first thing I said to you guys was like, okay, normal healthy people, their blood doesn't just clot and they don't get a pulmonary embolism. So it has to be like, whenever I hear somebody died from that, my first thing is, well, what caused that? So when you have cancer, that increases the risk of clotting, because the cancer itself can cause blood to clot more. And then you have other things associated with, like chemotherapy can also cause that. And then surgery is a big one that could cause blood clotting too. So did she have surgery to remove some of it, all of it, whatever? And then another thing is that the tumor unfortunately could get so big, and the lymph nodes around it could get so big that it could compress your vessels around your pelvis, which can also increase the risk of a pulmonary embolism. So what happens is the blood it's usually in the deep veins of the legs, but also it can come from the pelvic vessels too, which is right around where the rectum is. It becomes like it's sluggish. It's not moving, and if a piece of it sticks together and it causes a clot, and if a piece of it breaks off, it could travel up the biggest vein of the body, which is called the inferior vena cava, and then it goes with the rest of the blood to go into the heart, then to get passed into the lungs to pick up oxygen. And when it's making that travel, these large clots can get stuck inside between the heart and the lung. They get stuck, and it causes difficulty breathing, which is what we said. That was a possibility that she had a PE. And it could cause sudden death as well. Like she could have just got up and dropped dead as well. So sometimes if the clots are breaking off and they're smaller, it won't cause someone to just drop dead. It's honestly like a very satisfying autopsy to do, because when you do it, it's very clear how the person died. You open them up, you open their pulmonary artery, and you're like, bam, that's how they died. End of story. There's nothing else it could be.
Yeah, and I mean, for people like you that are doing the autopsies, it was the extra added level of interest having with her
Oh my
having
God,
situs and versus.
that was just like such a cool autopsy. Now let me state something else as well. I don't know that she had an autopsy yet. I because it is possible that because she had the history of cancer and they knew she had cancer, she had treatment, and she went and had this pulmonary embolism, they were able to determine that she had a pulmonary embolism when she got to the hospital. And they wouldn't do an autopsy necessarily on that if her family didn't want one, because they could just say that's a complication of the treatment or the cancer. So yes, it would have been an absolute dream autopsy for someone to do. But I mean, personally, if that happened with, like, my mom's the same exact age, and if she had cancer and then she had a pulmonary embolism, I wouldn't be like, yeah, cut up her body to confirm. Like, it just,
Well, yeah,
it's
'cause
like
you
a
know it's
known risk.
coming.
Yeah, exactly. It's a known risk factor. So she might not have had an autopsy, but if she did, it would have been very cool.
All right, so Winter Olympics are in full swing. Opening ceremony was Friday night. Did you watch it at all?
I didn't watch the opening ceremony, but I watched some of dude, did you see the bobsled? Like,
I
all the
didn't.
guys, I don't know, it just was going viral, and it was so funny, and it was like bro left without them, and it was there were 4 team members, and only one ended up being in the bobsled,
Oh yeah,
and the
I
rest
saw.
of them like fell over and stuff. It was just great.
There's been a lot of wipeouts. So the one we're going to talk about right now is Lindsey Vonn. So she's an alpine ski racer. She has other Olympic medals. This was a very big deal, her coming back, because she had retired in 2019, and just a week before the Olympics she was in a race and she also fell and she tore her ACL. So there was all these reports like, is she even going to make it to the Olympics? And she said, no, I'm powering through it, I'm going to go. 13 seconds into her run, she hit this gate on the side with her pole and had this horrific crash and had to be airlifted off the slope. It was absolute worst case scenario.
I mean, listen, like, I'm a sports medicine person. I just think that, like, a torn ACL isn't just like, oh, I have like a sore hamstring, I'm just gonna push through it. Oh, I have a broken femur, I'm just gonna push through it. Like, what?
Well, they're claiming the ACL had nothing to do with why
That's
she crashed.
that's bullshit. That's because she don't want to look like stupid, right? Like, I'm sorry, that ACL it stabilizes your leg, right? And I understand that totally could have happened even if she didn't have this tear, but that 1 second over that she went and clipped her pole onto that could absolutely have had to do with the fact that her leg wasn't 100% stable. Like, you could sit there and tell me that it has nothing to do with that, but no. It's absolutely impossible that it didn't.
She also had a partial replacement of her right knee in 2024. I mean, have you watched the race she competes in particular? It's insane. Some of them are going like 90 miles an hour down this mountain.
Yeah, there was I don't know if it's a body cam or like a drone footage of these people going down these hills, And yes, it looks absolutely terrifying. I just and like listen, if I did it, I would drop dead 2 seconds. I wouldn't even want to stand at the top of a hill like that, right? But I just can't understand how you could say out loud that the two have nothing to do with each other. It's the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, she had to have emergency surgery that day, so she said that she's going to be requiring multiple surgeries in the future.
So that was also terrifying too, watching her get airlifted off of that mountain.
That was scarier to me than anything.
Right? I was just like, geez.
And I think she was there for, I think it took almost 20 minutes from the time she crashed till the helicopter getting there. So she was basically laying there like screaming in pain. She said yesterday she had a complex fracture of her tibia. So that doesn't sound good at all. I don't know. I sent Ricky this meme on Instagram yesterday that said, my toxic trait is thinking I could do all these sports. And I'm like, get a life. We were watching the biathlon last night, which is like where they ski and then they have to stop and like shoot a target or whatever. And I was like, oh, I could totally do this. I can't even get on ice skates in a straight line or do anything. Like, I've never even tried to ski. I'd like to try it at one point, even though everybody claims I hate being outside. But I think I'd be so terrible at it.
You cannot ski. Listen, Maria wants to stand on top of a mountain wearing skis and like
Take
a
a cute
cute puffy
picture.
hat, and then she wants to go inside and have a hot chocolate. Like you like the look of skiing. You don't like the actual things that come with it. Like
That is correct, but I would like to try at some point maybe. I don't know, like it's been really interesting to watch. I saw too that a lot of the snowboarders were saying that the last bump they had to hit, I don't even remember what event this was. The last hill they had to hit or whatever, they said it came up very quickly, every single one of them. And I'm wondering if there's problems with the courses, because I know you don't follow hockey at all, but there was a lot of controversy with the hockey arena because I think it just got finished being built last week. So they didn't even know as of last week if they were going to be sending the players over to do the games because they didn't think their arena was going to be ready for them, which is insane.
yeah, I mean, I was more interested in the figure skating though. Did you see that guy that did that crazy backflip that he didn't even get points from? But who cares? Like, everyone's like, why would he risk this? No points. And it's just like, did you watch it? It looks amazing.
He got a gold medal.
Yeah, but that particular move didn't gain points.
No, I actually read that it was banned a while ago. Somebody did
Yeah.
it before and they banned it because of how dangerous it was. And then a woman had done it in the late 90s and she landed on a solo skate on it, which was like this immaculate, impressive thing. And she still didn't get any medals or anything. That kid is 21 years old. Both his parents were Olympic figure skaters, and he is absolutely killing it. Like, when people want to talk about Nepo babies and everything, I understand. But, like, you can't just have that skill from your parents being famous. Like, he busts his ass, and he's really good.
He has that skill from being like a fetus on ice skates. That's why he has that skill.
No, seriously. All of the people are doing so amazing so far, and it's been... I'm just jealous. You know, I was looking at all the footage and I'm like, not only are you in one of the most beautiful places on the planet, but the food's probably banging, the coffee's probably banging. It's awesome there. Like, it's one of the coolest places. I think the next Winter Olympics is going to be in the French Alps, which is also going to be beautiful and have delicious food. And then it's going to be in Salt Lake City. Like, no, thank you. All
But
right,
that
so
one's probably more reachable for us.
I would, oh my God, if it's in 8 years, I would die to go. Like, we have to go. I mean, your sister-in-law literally lives there, so I'm sure we could get a connection and go. All right, so of course there's scandal with every Olympics this time. I didn't see anything about the sex beds, so I think they got rid of those. But if you guys want to hear that, we had some episodes from the Summer Olympics 2 years ago talking about that. But this year's scandal is that the men's ski jumpers are allegedly injecting their penises with hyaluronic acid to gain an advantage.
Yeah, so this is, I don't know if this is like a tabloid or whatever, but of course it's going viral online that men are getting penis injections with filler that you would put in your face or your lips to make bigger, to increase the girth of their penis. So when they get measured with this 3D tool for a uniform, that the uniform is bigger on them and it gives them more space, I guess, to spread their legs when they're skating or something. I don't know.
No, this is what happened. So in 2024, the men's race director for International Ski and Snowboard Federation said that every centimeter on the suit counts and that even a 5% bigger surface area will make them fly further. So what happens is their bodies get 3D scanned for the suit. So I think they're hoping by giving a little bit of extra room in there that by the time they're actually wearing them, that little bit of space gives them an advantage to go way higher.
I mean, in theory, it could work. But I mean, you'll only gain like centimeters though, like not a lot of space. But if every centimeter counts, then in theory that could work. And then what is the anti-doping?
Oh my god. So the World Anti-Doping Agency's like got involved in this. All of this information was posted in a German tabloid, right? So they don't even know if this is accurate information or speculation or whatever. But they got involved and they say they don't even know of an advantage there would possibly be, even though the other guy had said 2 years ago there is an advantage because every centimeter counts. But they said they're only going to address it if there's an issue with doping.
Yeah, because and really, like, how would you know? Like, you could say, okay, show me your penis. Like, you don't know if it's natural or if it's filled.
Yeah, it is really interesting to think about. That's another one of those ones. I saw the ski jump when we were in Lake Placid in December, and like I can't even I couldn't even fathom taking the tour to go to the top of it to look down, let alone skiing off that thing. It is outrageous looking.
Clearly, this past month between Alex, what's his name? The
Oh,
guy that
the skyscraper live guy.
Yeah, the free solo guy, and this, it just makes me feel very incompetent as a human.
Oh my
Really,
god.
like, I just sit there and I'm like, God, I can't even like go up the stairs without getting out of breath. I'm such
know.
a loser.
I was literally last night when during the biathlon they have to go up this hill that looks so terrible on your thighs to have to like ski up this hill, right? And I'm sitting there like I could do that and I'm like just kidding. I'm 6 months pregnant. I can't even get off the couch by myself.
Just kidding. We just went to San Francisco and that literally killed me. I was like, how do people live here and walk up these hills every day?
No, it's insane. This episode is brought to you by the Gross Room.
Guys, so speaking of penis injections, we have a couple posts in the Gross Room talking about, of course, botched ones because it's becoming increasingly popular to do this. So I want to show you guys what it looks like when they're not done by someone who is experienced. And we have a lot of posts on botched filler in general, but it's usually for lips or cheeks or something like that. And no, we have one that's called Filler Up about penis injections. This week's high-profile death dissection was on the Tepe murders. Am I saying that name right? I
No,
hate
that's
it.
right. That's right.
I'm always just like I'm saying it wrong. But Monique and Spencer Tepe, who were murdered by her ex-husband. So we've talked about that on the show a bunch, and the autopsy reports came out this week. So I did a whole high-profile death dissection on that, going through all of the autopsy findings and what they may have experienced when they were being killed. So check that out.
Head over to thegrossroom.com now to sign up.
All right, this story was sent to us by one of our Mother Knows Death listeners and a Gross Room member. So why don't you get into it?
Yeah, let's talk about the story as a whole, and then we'll get into what the listener had to say about it. So what's being reported is that in Oklahoma, this woman was found dead in a trash can after her 16-year-old named Jordan reportedly admitted that he killed her with a hammer. So a few interesting things they point out in this article are that Jordan and the woman's other adoptive son had recently been in trouble for sneaking out of the house and, quote, running from law enforcement during the night. I don't know what that means. So the other kid is saying that as punishment, they had to write apology letters, and Jordan had his clothes and bedding locked away and had to wear an orange jumpsuit to, quote, show him what life as a prisoner might be like if he did not start behaving. So at first when I'm starting to read this, it's like Ruby Frankish, right? Is that where your mind went?
I don't know. I just think that's yes. It's a little. It's just a little much.
It's a little extreme for punishment. So the adoptive brother told police that Jordan had repeatedly said he was going to kill their mom. And then one day the mom wasn't there. I guess she had a mix of adopted kids and biological kids. So one of her biological kids I mean, I don't even think that those details matter 100. I guess they do. I want to point it out because they point out in the article, but like, I'm in the mindset if you adopt a kid, and you have biological kids, they should all be seen exactly the same, right? But basically, one day, one of her other kids gets there and asks where she is. Jordan says she was off helping one of their other siblings who just had a baby. She doesn't come home that night, and the next day, the other kids are starting to get worried, so they call their dad over. He reports the mom missing, and that's when the other adopted son said that Jordan killed her and stuffed her in the trash can.
Yeah, so I mean, this kid is a kid. He's 16, and he was talking about killing her though for days. And,
yeah, like
and
it
then
wasn't sudden.
It wasn't like he impulsively stabbed her after getting in trouble. So, yeah, I mean, he planned it. I mean, it's so sick to think that I mean, a 16-year-old is still a child, that like an older child would sit there and plan this and think that this was a good idea and do it. I'm curious, like, I understand that she's his adoptive mother, but like, did she just adopt him as an older person, or has she had him since he was a little baby?
She's had him since we were 4. So this is what the listener wrote in. Said, huge fan, longtime grocery member. I never dreamed I would actually know someone who was murdered so brutally by their teenager. Some of the facts are wrong, like she was 47, not 49. I hadn't seen her in many years, but she was such a fun-loving mom who did everything for her biological and adoptive kids. She just became a grandmother the month before. Her son had been in a mental hospital recently, and she was doing everything to help him. It is uncomfortable they are calling him her adoptive son instead of just her son, since she had him since he was 4. I agree with that. And previous trauma may be a factor in his actions. I'm interested to see the autopsy report if they share it, but I truly hope she passed quickly and didn't suffer so horrific.
Yeah, see, that's sad because and I don't know who I was talking with this recently about just adopting kids and everything like that. And obviously I don't have any experience with that, but I know someone who has. And I mean, like, seeing a 4-year-old child and wanting to adopt them and everything is awesome, and it's so great that people do that. But you have to take into consideration, like, what did that child experience for the first 4 years of their life? They're obviously coming from a place where they have 2 parents that don't want them, or don't want to take care of them, or can't take care of them. So that child might have experienced like a lot of trauma before getting to you, which could potentially be the situation in this case. So even though you get a kid who is 4 years old, they already come with a ton of baggage and problems that she might not ever been able to straighten out as he got older.
Yeah, and coincidentally, I was listening to The Nerve this morning while I was getting ready, and Maureen had on Professor Sam Vatkin on The Nerve. So he was an author and professor of psychology, and they were talking about the Nick Reiner case, and it just kind of went hand in hand with this story. So he was saying a majority of parricides, over 90% of them, are committed by a minor, and especially teenage boys who live with their parents, and the victims are usually parents who are strict, rigid, or pillars of the community, or have high expectations, or because they're highly regarded by others. So I just thought that was really interesting. That point came up when we were covering this story today.
Yeah, it is. And you could see, like, maybe she wasn't, like, I don't know. I mean, our listeners saying that she was a nice lady and everything like that, but her method of punishment was, I don't know what to do, because, like, I've never had a kid that is sneaking out in the middle of the night and getting law enforcement involved, and maybe she just thought this kid's going to end up in jail someday. Which, listen, like, to her defense, she clearly saw that this kid was like a potential future criminal, and she was trying to scare him straight. And so obviously there were things going on behind the scenes that really made her think this way, and she was right, because he stabbed her to death. So clearly,
or he hit her with a hammer. Yeah.
Or he hit her with a hammer. Which is, even honestly, like, that's to me is just a very disturbed, an even more disturbed person, really.
Well, yeah, and like,
I feel like stabbing, I mean, like, there is a level of what weapon people decide to choose and how they decide to carry it off that makes me think that people are on different levels as far as their mental stability. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
and it
shooting
was
someone's definitely not as heinous as like beating someone with a hammer.
well, it's very intimate, and they're saying
Yeah.
it wasn't like self-defense. It wasn't a crime of passion. You've been talking about doing it for a while, and then taking the next step of putting her body in a trash can and wheeling it out to the curb, hoping nobody would find it.
It's very like, I mean, you could hit someone with a hammer multiple times and not even make them unconscious. So it's just like it's very like you want to see them suffer and you want to just carry that out until they're dead. It's like it's very crime of passion. And like he was, I wonder what he was in the hospital for at some point. He was is that the son she was talking about?
Well, yeah, like that didn't come up at all in the report if he was having mental issues going on.
Well, he was having mental issues. We don't need that reported.
No, but I mean,
16, like any of you out there that has a 16-year-old right now, like,
but being hospitalized for it is different than just dealing with it within your home. That's a little
Yeah.
more intense. He's being charged as an adult, so he's been charged on one count of first-degree murder, desecration of a human corpse, and unauthorized removal of a dead body. I think this is really sad. I mean, we just don't know because we weren't living in that house. Like, yes, our listener could have known her and thought she was the best mom ever, and she could have been doing these questionable punishment tactics in the house. You don't know. Some people also think punishment like that's a little extreme with a kid that's acting out all the time might be more helpful. So like it's just I think when you put it from our perspective where you see she has now died.
I don't think it's extreme. I just think it's
Well, the
I
locking
wouldn't
away
use
his clothes and bedding was the odd part to me.
well, I think that she was trying to make it like, listen, if you go to jail, like this is what happens. You have a toilet and a bed and they hand you what you're allowed to have and that's how you have to live and just are you comfortable living like this? I don't really think that it's abusive or extreme. I just think that it's a little unusual compared to how we see other people parent and punish their kids, but at the same time, I think it's safe to say that people are not punishing their children enough.
No, they're
So-
totally not. I mean, you see a kid like freaking out in public and being a total asshole, and their parents like use your words, Persephone, and it's like, no, just they need to be punished. Like sometimes they need to be grounded or yelled at for the way they're acting. You don't even know because it's like you're out in public, especially when I worked at the restaurant. It was so bad. So bad. These kids acting out in the restaurant and their parents just totally eyes glazed over, letting them do whatever they want. It's insane.
Yeah, so I mean, but we're not talking about little kids. We're talking about an older, like an almost adult.
Yeah, but I'm saying just like in general, the way
But like,
people
yeah,
are.
if a kid is sneaking out at night and then law enforcement and then running away from the cops or something, I mean, I don't know. I just don't. I think it's weird, a little weird, but I just don't. I don't think that it would be like Ruby Frank was like injuring her children and putting cayenne pepper in their injuries. Like that's just
No, for sure. I'm just more so pointing out like more of the situation with the older son. We talked about him on YouTube Live a couple weeks ago where like she told him he couldn't sleep in his bed for a couple months and he had to sleep on a beanbag. Right? Like
yeah, and that was other things that were unusual about that case because I remember that was that particular case that mom had a little kid, like a 6-year-old that was in first grade that would forget her lunch and then the teacher would call and say, hi, so-and-so forgot their lunch. And then she would call and say, well, she forgot it. That's her problem. She's not eating today.
yes.
Yeah. So, and that's like a little, and honestly, like when you listen to that, it's just like, do you remember that I had met a mom at a library a couple like years ago when I was homeschooling the kids when they were little kids, and then she told me that her daughter was being bad. She said my daughter was being bad, so Santa didn't come for her, and I was like, "What?"
That's fucked
So
up.
and then like the kid, it was so messed up, and then the kid woke up in the morning and there were no presents for Santa, and the mom was just like, "You weren't being good." She was like 6, and then
Ruby
that's when
Franke
I
did
was
that
like, "I
too.
can't talk to this lady anymore." Like there's something like not right with this lady.
Exactly. There's a fine line. There is a fine line between punishing your kid and being a monster.
I had a pain in my heart and wanted to throw up when I heard that. I was like, that's the meanest thing that you could ever do to a kid. It's so mean.
Especially for a 6-year-old, like what could they be doing that's that terrible?
That's
They're
what I
still
said.
so little. But that's what Ruby Frank did that with her 2 young kids too. They didn't get Christmas presents one year, and she made them watch all the other kids open all their presents.
Like, it's fine if you don't celebrate and that's a thing, but like when your kids expect it, I just think that that's like a whole other level of a crazy person.
No, absolutely. And I think that's where this case is hard to analyze, because I think to some people it could seem like, well, she was just trying to give him a dose of reality. But then to some people, they're going to see it as extremely abusive, especially if he's had a life full of trauma. So it's just hard to say because you don't live in the house and you're not witnessing it firsthand.
All right, our last story is one of the craziest ones I've heard in a long time.
So at an Olive Garden last week, this cook reportedly took all his clothes off and then dunked his head into the deep fryer to kill himself.
So I haven't heard this in any news reports, but a lot of the Reddit threads are saying that he was high on PCP, which would actually make sense to me because PCP is a drug that people take. It's called like wet or angel dust, and it causes dissociative properties when you take it. So you just completely don't understand like what's real from what's reality. And another interesting thing with that drug is that it causes an increase in body temperature. So is it possible that he took that drug, he was really, really hot and decided to just stick his head in a vat of what he thought was water and then just stuck it in there? Or was he screaming that he wanted to kill himself and then put his head in there? Like, I'm not sure exactly how that went down. But that would actually make me feel better about the situation, honestly.
Well, yeah, because it's like obviously he's a very disturbed person to do that, but then to think about everybody else that had to witness that is so horrific. Some people got burned trying to get him out of there. I mean, I don't even want to know what something like that would look like.
It's just, that was my first question. Like, what does this autopsy look like? Geez, like, I mean, those fryers, let's say, so it's at Olive Garden, so they're using it to do like their chicken parm and their mozzarella sticks or whatever they sell that's fried, right? So you're thinking that the temperature of that oil is like 350 to 400 degrees, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
minimum.
And sticking, well, we had a story a couple weeks ago that, remember there was a kid that was working at McDonald's and his earbud fell in there?
Yes,
and he instinctively went in. I mean, that kid's going to have lifelong problems from having his hand burned like that, probably looking at surgery, skin grafts, all of that, and he'll have problems for the rest of his life because of that. This particular case, I mean, think about 400 degrees, 350 degrees being immersed with oil. So it's not like sticking your hand in water that's that hot. Oil, it doesn't come off of your skin, so it continues to cook it even after you come out of it. You can't, like, think about your eyeballs being exposed to something like that, your airway, the swelling that occurs. I mean, like, he could have been brought to the hospital, but I don't even know, like, I feel like the employees at the hospital, as well as the medical examiner that had to do the autopsy on this too, are probably just like all traumatized by this, because it's not often that you see somebody that was burned in this particular way.
No, and how do you get that out of your head as somebody that witnessed something like that?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, like, you're at the it's better for the people that are working at the hospital, but the actual witnesses, especially people that aren't working in medicine, they're working at Olive Garden. Apparently, there was a customer there that witnessed it too. I have no idea, like, how it went down. But I am curious if any of you know any more of the story. I really would love to hear more.
And this happened on a Friday afternoon, and they did close, but they have since reopened. So
business goes on.
Business goes on. I mean, I guess it's like, what are they
like
gonna
the weekend,
do?
dude. It's like everlasting pasta bowls or whatever they call it. What is it called? Isn't it like an all-you-can-eat pasta bowl that it's Friday night? Like, come on.
They got that and the unlimited soup, salad, breadstick situation. I don't know. I understand
You
they
know
have to
this is near
continue
the
with
mountains?
business. Yeah, I saw it was in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's
I think it's in that town where they do the Little League World Series, isn't it?
oh, is
William,
it?
Williamsport or something?
I'm
Isn't
just
that it?
saying, like, how do you go back to work 2 days later and just act like this horrific thing didn't happen there?
Yeah, they're going to have to. I mean, they have to get someone there to deal with this trauma at the work, to talk to the workers and stuff, because I can't imagine. They're probably young people too, you know.
Oh, for sure. All right, on to your questions and emails. If you have a question or a story for us, please submit it to stories@motherknowsdeath.com. And try to keep them brief because we've been getting really good ones, but they're really long and I can't read that good. So we got to narrow it down.
It's not that. It's just for time's sake.
Yeah, just for time's sake. All right, this one's from HB. I love your show and recently listened to the episode where you discussed beauty parlor syndrome. Your discussion really resonated with me because of my own experience. In 2017, at 25 years old, I sustained a vertebral artery dissection on my right side with a TIA after hurting my neck at the gym. I
Jeez.
temporarily lost control of my left side and lost vision in my left eye, and while in the ICU, I began seeing flashes of light in the same eye. It took a year and a half and 3 different eye doctors to finally discover I had a retinal tear, which required laser correction. I still have floaters in my left eye, and prior to this incident had no issues with vision. It is still unknown if or how these events are related, and it's been a big mystery. But I am happy to say that the dissection has fared well and no surgical intervention was needed for that part. Life is normal now, minus roller coasters. Wishing you both a great year ahead.
All right, I'm going to put out a wild theory here that they could be related. So I know that the vertebral artery dissection you had was caused by trauma you had at the gym, but is it possible that you might have some kind of a connective tissue thing going on that's making your vessels and your retina more prone to tearing from minimal trauma? So sometimes when you have a condition like that, the things tear easier with trauma. So is it possible? I don't know, but maybe you want to consider that, because it is unusual for a person of your age, 25 years old, to get a vertebral artery dissection. And then on top of that, the detached retina too. That's a thing that happens in older people. And if you didn't have any kind of like severe trauma that you recognized, and especially with your eye, it's just a little unusual. So I don't know, maybe just bring that up to your doctor. I'm not trying to say that you have that or anything. You're not dying, but just it's something that's good to know, especially for a younger person.
Okay, next is from Jordan. Hi, Nicole and Maria. Just wanted to say how proud I am of Maria for doing IVF. Thanks. I too understand the struggle. I'm a labor and delivery nurse and see the worst people coming in to deliver babies, and it's so shitty and unfair to good couples who have a hard time conceiving. My husband and I are going through fertility issues too and hope to start IVF at the end of this week. Good luck with the rest of your pregnancy and delivery when it comes time. Love you guys, love the show and the gross room. Thank you very much for your sweet words, and good luck with your fertility journey. I know this is the most stressful time of all, but you will get through it.
I think that it's hard for her because she sees I saw, like, I didn't ever work in labor and delivery, obviously, but I worked in pathology, so I got all of the placentas, and like reading the amount of times people were pregnant, it doesn't, and just like they were pregnant all these times, they didn't have these babies, all these abortions, all these people on drugs, all this stuff. I can imagine just seeing that all the time when you're trying to have a baby, when people like have no respect for it at all, and just like you said, the worst people ever are giving birth to kids, and you can't, when you want to give this kid like a loving home and everything. It just makes it worse to have to see that day in and day out.
Oh, totally. I mean, every story we covered was so difficult, and it was like I didn't even tell you for a full year I had been trying. Like it was like a secret struggle because I was like, I'm strong and I could go through this, and then it just kept getting harder and harder. And then it's like my husband would come home from work and be like, you don't know how many men come into the barber shop and are just like, oh, I gotta babysit my kids this weekend, like my life's ruined, blah blah blah, and he's just like, fuck you. Like, do you know what I would do to have a baby right now? And you're just sitting here with like 3 kids, totally ungrateful for the family you have. And I think it's just a lot of that. And people have kids and they definitely take it for granted. I think I always wanted to be a mom, but I think going through this experience made me appreciate it so much more, and is really making me I'm not gonna say like love my baby more. Obviously it's gonna love my baby no matter what, but it definitely makes you have like a whole new appreciation for it.
Agreed. But good luck.
Especially
You'll
from
be
the
fine.
No, totally. All right, last question is, Maria, will you take some time when the baby arrives? So first question for you is,
No.
am I allowed? No.
No.
um yeah, we don't.
She could have a day.
Yeah, I'm
We're
gonna have one
actually
day
gonna
off.
we're actually gonna pull a Kylie Kelsey, and she's going to be the quickest person that's podcasting post giving birth. I might actually be there on live stream as it's happening, and with a microphone in her face, and then yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see.
we don't know what it looks like yet per se. I will be off a little bit. It won't be crazy long or anything. Um, I think we should just try to do an episode straight out of the hospital room. Why not? I'm gonna beat her
We
at her
will.
own
We'll,
game.
yeah, but like the problem is that technically would require me to do something that I am not capable of doing. If you want to do a live episode on like a phone, and then I mean, I guess I could bring a microphone, but like this whole setup is just a little bit too much for me. But we'll figure it out, and then she'll like give her a week. No, she's not taking off like a normal maternity leave because she doesn't have a normal job. But
Well, I don't have a normal job, and like that's not how I roll. I need to work. Like I can't not do it, and it's really, you know, it'll be a lot, but it's not that much. Like it's not like I have to work 40 hours a week to make this show happen, right? Like I could pop on at least one time a week for now. There will not be any lapse in episodes though. So like the show will continue. We're probably going to have some guests on. We'll maybe have some stuff pre-recorded. The show will not be off. So
no,
you'll be getting new episodes regardless, but expect
I keep trying to think of like, all right, who am I going to have on? Like obviously Cheryl. I'll have like Cheryl, Tom, Lauren. But
yeah, but they could probably send in suggestions too, right? If they have people that we're just not aware of, or they want a particular guest.
Yeah, I mean, I could see if like Joseph or something. I feel like we need like a person, like I feel like Lauren will be really good to bounce off with you.
Yeah.
But like maybe we could do Gandhi and something, like I don't know. I'll just see, like I'll talk to all of them, Elvis Duran, and they're going to help us out with a big part of your job, which is like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. So as far as you recording goes, I think that even if maybe you just hop on a little bit,
that's what I'm
just if you
saying.
could get some time, we'll just send mom over there and have her watch the baby in the other room for an hour or something. But we'll figure it out. It's just something we need to figure out.
Yeah, because I'll come back in some capacity. Probably like maybe at first I won't be on every single episode of the week, right? But I'll do at least one, just to have something. But yeah, them taking over a lot of the work I do behind the scenes is going to be really helpful. There definitely will not be any lapse in episodes. I guess expect around May, June, it might get a little weird for a minute. Just like not be the typical 3 news episodes a week. We might have a filler in here or there to account for it. The thing about childbirth and me being extreme A-type person is that I don't really have control over when this happens, so it's kind of hard to plan for it, right? So like I could in theory go and birth the beginning of May even though I'm not due till the end of May, and then we'll just have to scramble and figure that out. Regardless, it won't really change for you guys, but it'll
change.
Fine.
They're gonna, like, if I have to do it by myself, it's gonna be very, very awkward and boring.
No, I'll be on, and then we'll have good guests that are familiar voices on here, so you don't have to worry about that. And we'll try to pre-record some stuff too, just so you have some more of the regular content we typically cover. But don't worry, your content will not be affected by this baby. So we're
all worried about it.
No, it'll be good. Okay, we have some Valentine's Day merch for sale. I know it's coming up this weekend, and if you want to surprise your loved one with a sexy gift or a sexy gift for yourself, you should head over to thedoramatershop.com And then don't forget, we have our show at the City Vineyard in New York City in only a week and a half, which is insane. So excited to see everybody.
I am excited too, and a lot of our friends are going, so that'll be really exciting.
A lot of our friends are going.
Husbands are going.
Husbands are going. We're going to have a little bit of merch there you could buy. My husband has been informed he is the merch boy, so you can talk to him there. I think we're going to have some books for sale too, and we're going to try to figure out just how awesome we can make the day for you guys.
Yeah, so make sure that you head over to, what's the website to get the tickets?
You could go to the City Vineyard website in New York City and find the tickets there, or in the Gross Room, or we have them linked in the description of every episode on anywhere you get podcasts, anywhere you're listening, YouTube. The link is in the description of this episode. There is not a crazy amount of tickets, so I definitely wouldn't wait super long. The room is not very big, so you definitely don't want to miss out. And they have pretty good food there that you could eat while watching us talk about pretty gnarly things. So
I know. I'm like, I forgot about the food part of it because I don't want to turn anyone off with because we might have the ability to put some pictures up too.
If they listen to us, they could deal.
If that happens, I don't want to be like, oh, because I was just sending pictures. I was trying to send pictures of something to my father-in-law last night of a really gnarly fire death because it's a very old case, but I had a question because he was a fireman back in that time period. And I was like, oh, sorry if you're eating dinner right now. So yeah. All right, cool. I'll look forward to that. That's going to be fun.
And if you guys come, you'll have the opportunity to ask us questions live in person as well. We do that every live show, so it's always fun. Or you could share your weird stories to a room full of people if you're comfortable enough. All right, guys, please head over to Apple or Spotify and leave us a review, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and submit your stories to stories@motherknowsdeath.com.
See you tomorrow, guys. Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day, and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.